Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Too High, the Summit podcast. I'm Wayne Memmott. I'm your host. I'm here with my friend Ohmar Gibson, your other host. What's up, Ohmar?
Not much. What's going on, man? Just ready to talk about this episode. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have, about 5 minutes for us to talk about this episode? I don't really.
Yes. That's all we need. Maybe even cut it down to a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But
Full transparency.
if
We
it's
record this. Oh, I was just say
good.
full transparency. We record this on Sunday morning, Saturday or Sunday morning, depending on our schedules. And Omar and I are getting on. He's like, I got to be out of here at like 9:40 for work. And I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, yeah, we could do 4 podcasts in the time that we have left about this show.
Indeed, because they gave us absolutely not like bare minimum, bare bones. Like they
I
gave us
mean,
table scraps. Like I don't.
yeah, they
They
literally gave us
tried.
table. Yeah, they literally gave us table scraps. They had birds. We start the episode. We'll just get there.
Yeah.
5 minutes on the birds eating all the food you left out. Hey, idiots, have you been camping before? I know you have because it's been like 14 or 11 days so far. You don't leave
Right.
food out in the wilderness. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, that was real obvious. That was so stupid. I thought about that too. Like, who was the dummy who decided like we're just gonna leave the food out? Because even if you were the last person or the first person, like it don't matter. I would make sure that that stuff is gone. I don't care how cold it was or how much you wanted to get inside. That was really dumb.
Yeah. Not only that, but with all of production on there, listen, I'm just going to back out. I am an environmental hippie. I do worry about climate change. And every little bit matters. And I also worry about affecting ecosystems. Well, guess what? Those birds ain't had hamburgers before. Like you're introducing new stuff and all this new food. They don't grow green peppers on the top of that mountain. These birds never had that stuff. And so you're affecting their ecosystem. Plus, this stuff comes in packaging. And if you don't have enough time to pick up the goddamn food, you're definitely not picking up all the packaging that all this stuff comes in. So
Uh-uh.
I was just like, hey, if the players don't have to do it, production, you have to do it. That's the key. We know you're there. We know you're there. We know you're watching. So I don't know. I just want to start off on that and be like, hey, when you go camping, you cannot leave food and packaging out, not just for your safety, but also for the environment. It's a bad look.
Mhm.
It's a bad look for people that worry about it. And I know in Donald Trump's America, people don't give a shit about shit and whatever and all of that stuff. But I'm just saying, like, every little bit matters. And the things on TV, I mean, hey, the summit, just don't show that. Yeah, the only
Yeah.
wildlife they've seen the whole time happens to be birds that you attracted because of the food that you left out. That's not
Mhm.
cool. That's not entertaining. But I know you had to fill 5 minutes of this episode and you can only show Amy falling in the snow so many times.
Yeah. I mean, they tried to get us started with the whole genie being reminiscent on the fact that everybody thought that Dennis was sneaky, and she didn't view Dennis that way. Which I did have a thought about, like if he did not try so hard to be the Korean cockroach, quote unquote, he probably could have made it past this vote and would have made it to the summit. Actually, probably too. Um, just if he was actually genuine with some of those people, because the whole reason people even wanted him out is because they thought he was sneaky. So, uh, yeah, I had that thought
Yeah,
when they was doing the whole genie package.
yeah. I also is like, well, he connected with Jeannie, who seems like she's one of those people that's like maybe more difficult to connect with. She's just like
Mm,
she's lived a different life than a lot of these other people. It feels like, she's a grocery store clerk, like, a working mom. And I know Amy is a mom too, but they keep focusing on Jeannie's life and how like different it is. And she connected with Dennis. And I agree with you. If Dennis hadn't come onto this show being like, I'm going to be a villain, like he probably could have made it. Cause I don't think this show is made for villains. This show is not made for villains in its current setup.
no. Like the best he could have got for like that type of gameplay was like making it to a point like this and getting to the end, because like I feel like this was the most as boring as this episode was. They did kind of turn it up, and usually I will admit to y'all right now, I usually fall asleep when I watch these episodes. This is why I watched the episodes twice. I didn't fall asleep this time because usually at the point where I would have, it started to get interesting when it came to like the actual strategy stuff. Like it almost felt like everybody was holding a gun under the table pointing at each other, and you didn't know who the vote was going to. And yeah,
Yeah,
it was really good.
that's spot on. Honestly, that is like it did feel like everyone had a gun under the table pointed at each other this whole episode, and like it was boring in that like not a lot happened, and I have some problems with the episode. But you're right, there was a ton of strategy that was like really explained in this game. We'll get to it later, but the fact that
Yeah.
people are thinking about like Theron was like, well, if I get Dusty out and then I show that I'm the strong one, then people think I'm the one that has to take him up the mountain, not Dusty. And I'm like, oh, that is a very good reason to take out the people that are stronger than you in this game. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool to at least see that part of it. And I also had the thought that like between this episode and the last episode, these were probably some of the most beautiful episodes of any TV show that I've ever seen. Maybe even better than some movies. And I was like, they could have. This is going a lot for a show that is not a hit. But if they could have made this thing some type of like VR experience to where you could have just like put this on and lived that, like this would have probably took off in another platform like this.
I
But
mean, shit, put you in the production meetings, dog. That's a great. I mean, again, if this show was a hit, but like, yeah, watching this in VR headsets would be like sick. Now, I wouldn't buy a VR
yeah.
headset just to watch this show, but I agree with you. Like, this would be
Yeah, like
sick.
if I
Like,
had one and they were like, "This is the thing," and like, because there's a bunch of that, because I do have one. There's a bunch of those, like a whole different type of YouTube dedicated to just like VR stuff, and
yep.
this could have been something that would have like kind of found some legs on a situation like that.
There's also a whole category on YouPorn for VR stuff too. uh, but
Oh.
But yeah, so Dennis is gone. He was kicked off. He voted out, and we are starting our day. We get a lot. We get Dusty saying kind of like the game is on now. We get that from a lot of players, but it's like, okay, it is game time. This isn't easy votes anymore. So now we're clear. Like these are strong alliances that are left. This was the plan the whole way. They've gotten out the last of the planned people, and now they're like, okay, we have to start cutting people we actually like.
Yeah.
Theron starts his track of Amy is holding the group back. It keeps coming up, but
It's
I'll
a
say what Amy said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'll say what Amy said. She's holding the group back, but have you missed a checkpoint?
That part, because it was a really thick thorough line in the entire episode about Amy holding everybody back, and that she did make a really good point. Like we made every checkpoint, and it wasn't because of me that we were being held up. But I do understand them being like, we only have 2 more days on this mountain, and we are right, like it's right there within arm's reach. The last thing you want is to miss it by like a couple minutes or a couple seconds, a couple hours, whatever. That maybe you have to stop for this other person, and
Yep.
that is a different type of paranoia that was set in this type of competition at this point. So I understand it from that point of view, but I also wish we could have got to see that happen. Because I'll be honest, at this point, especially after the Dusty vote out, I didn't want to see them make the summit. I wanted to see, besides maybe Parker, I didn't want to see anybody get there. I wanted them to reach a point where they think that they made the summit. Manu was waiting for them, and then they all celebrated. Oh, we here, and he was like, "Nah, it's actually right there." Like,
I I don't think that this show is setting up that they would miss it by minutes or an hour. You know, like I don't know. I think that I'm guessing that the whole like climax, the big like last episode, like there's just gonna be a big twist where half the people are removed from the game.
yes, I thought about either that or once they reach the summit, they're gonna have to vote another person off once they get there and be like, "All
Yep.
right, y'all all made it, but everybody don't get part of the money, so now y'all got to decide which person doesn't get the money," which would
It's a
be kind of hilarious.
it would be hilarious, but then it's the Johnny Bananas, Sarah Rice of it all, where it's like, oh, that fucking sucks. Like, excuse my language, but
Yeah,
that sucks a ton. to do the whole
Yeah.
thing and have other people decide you don't get the prize, that would suck. I, as a viewer, it's like, oh, cool. There's like actually stakes, but then you take 2 seconds away and you're like, damn, Pumpkin did all that and she didn't get a dime. Or, you know what I'm saying?
That would be the one where if it was her, because like I said, that's the one person I'm kind of rooting for at this point. If it was her, I definitely would be on the piss side. I said that last week towards the end. Like I could be kind of a fickle fan when it comes to this shouldn't happen, but if it happens to the right person, I'm like I don't really care. So.
Becky Lee is starting to talk strategically. I'll say, if there's actually a villain pick for this, I think Becky Lee's kind of the villain. And by villain, I mean
right out of my mouth.
And by villain, I mean the gamer. She's the one that's like, it's all game. And in this whole kumbaya attitude era, which is like very new era Survivor kind of thing, Becky is the one that's like trying to play the game, and so that's the one that gets pointed as a villain in these kumbayas. I don't think she's doing anything villainous, but
but to kind of point back to something I said in one of our earlier episodes about like there being a couple players who were maybe making some decisions that looked like they were rooted in some insecurities that they had in their personal lives. I feel like Becky Lee is kind of one of those when it came to the people that she were targeted to get out the game, because she was really going hard for like the strong alpha male type of characters. And I'm like, maybe is that just because those kind of people, even if they aren't like that actually, kind of just remind her of some of those people she maybe dealt with on those job sites of being, kind of pointed out and ostracized and stuff like that. Not like it's a bad thing, just an observation to point out there. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Becky Lee people, but
no. I'm sure Becky Lee has as many fans as haters out there.
Yeah, because she was going pretty hard. I feel like that this is kind of when we get into like going towards Dusty's vote out. Because if I wouldn't have had it spoiled for me, I don't know if I would have seen it coming still. But this is kind of when she was talking about wanting to get out Dusty because he would be a stronger dude and all of that. That's the only reason why I had that thought for the previous episode.
Well, let's talk about that. This is going to be the big chunk of what I want to talk about. And this is what's pissing me off about this show. This is what I actually really hate about this show, is production has too big of a hand in a lot of money. So we get to Becky Lee's thing, and then all of a sudden, chopper gonna chop, and here comes the chopper, the mountains keeper. We better get a reveal of who this person is. I'm telling you, that's the one thing. There better be at the top of the mountain some lady. It's got to be. I mean, who? It's going to be a woman. Who is it going to be?
Is it going to be somebody who's like tied to doing a bunch of adventure stuff? Is it somebody who's known in the reality world? Is it somebody on the same level as Manu, where it's like, if you watch this one show, you will know this person? Or I ain't going to say one show. He probably did a bunch of other stuff. But, like, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Is it a reality TV? Or the person that did... Who is the person that did the... but I don't think they identify as she, but Brony, who was like one of the challenge... like USA or one of the Challenge World. She was. They were a host of one of those. That was my thought. Okay. But I don't. Yeah, I think their name's Brony, like Briony or something like that.
Okay, yeah. I think I might have seen her on Worlds, because I didn't watch none of the. I actually didn't watch none of the World ones. I only watched USA and then the World Champion. I didn't really watch the UK or. What was it? Australia, all of that.
I think, Brony was, here. Brony Dawson is their name. Okay. They're the first non-binary presenter in front of on Australia, as well as a host of the challenge for Australia and World Championship. Yeah, they were TJ's role, and they were an incredible host. But again, they keep saying she is the mountain keeper, and Brony's not a she, so... but anyway,
that would be the only reason.
Yeah, but the Mountains Keeper comes in. They drop a bag with all of this ice climbing equipment. First of all that ice climbing equipment's not sitting in that bag getting dropped from a helicopter. That is dangerous. So production dropped a bag and then set out the ice picks for them and all that stuff. And they said, there's 7 of you left. You have 6 sets of tools to get up the wall. Someone doesn't get to go, and they lose their money. And I'm like, all right, fuck you, the summit. Again, excuse my language. But we have now taken out over $250,000 from the prize pot. Only one person was medically evacuated, and that was at the beginning, and that was with the least amount of money you could remove from the prize pot. And then after that, between Bo and Dusty, they have removed over $200,000 or about $200,000 from the prize pot just through production. No one quitting, no one saying they're done. Not like if you fall from this challenge, you're out. None of that. It was just, hey, you know what? We've got too many people. You're gone. Oh, by the way, your money's gone too. And it's like, okay, you can vote some to make this easier.
Surprise vote.
Yes, surprise vote, but the money goes with you.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would have expected definitely for them to at least to be able to keep the money. I even thought that maybe they were just about to say, one of you don't get the equipment, so y'all got to share, so it's going to be harder on somebody, maybe delay them a little bit. But to straight up vote somebody out like this was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it was. I didn't like it at all. I also didn't like that it wasn't a vote, that it was just one person, whoever touched it first, which is like, I like that side of it, but then Theron's just like, oh, I got to cut somebody, so it all falls onto Theron's game. And it's like, I'm okay with individual advantages in this game, but I don't like this. You know, I don't like the way that this was done. This shows production's hand, and like how, I mean, I'll bet by the end of the day, the winners of this are splitting like $400,000 at this point. I don't think this is the last money that's going to be removed from this. I'm telling you, I'll bet it's 2 or 3 winners, and they're splitting like $450,000.
I really hope not, because that is a steep drop from $1 million. And if somehow this show does manage to get a second season, I would hope that they just make this whole losing money thing a part of messing up in the actual obstacles.
Yes.
Because that is a clear-cut way to get them to lose some money and actually put pressure on them outside of just the time disadvantage or looking weak to the people.
I mean, hell, even do this. Like, every time you fail a challenge, you have to pay $10,000 to try again, or else you are removed from the mountain. Like, make it something like that, where it's like Amy Lee, or Becky Lee, like maybe she gets scared, or someone fails, and it's like, yeah, it's going to cost you $50,000 to try again. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to keep paying it, but that's a way to deduct money from the pot, which clearly they want to do, but they didn't find I don't think it's a fair way to do it. It's not fair to Dusty. It's not fair to Theron. It's not fair to the players that are playing. If I was up there as a final 7, I mean, I would be actively pissed for the rest of the time.
Very, very. I definitely would have a kind of in the same vein of Johnny and Sarah Rice. I would have been a hunter after Ashley took the money from him. Super pissed, throwing an entire tantrum, because that is a long way to go in some serious conditions for for just one person to be able to say, no, you're a threat to my game. Get out of here. Like,
I don't think it was fair to Dusty. I also think that everybody that's left now that Dusty's gone are people that I think we'll probably see on another reality show if they want to. I think Dennis, I don't think Dusty will do it again. In fact, I'll bet this sours Dusty's pretty experienced from reality TV, and we'll probably never see him again. But the rest of these people, I think that if CBS came knocking and we're like, Big Brother, Survivor, some random new other thing we got, Peacock comes calling, like, you'd be great for traders. Like, I could see all of these people getting onto some other shows.
Yeah, definitely.
I think Theron's my top pick as someone I actively want to see on another reality show.
I could go for more, because I just like a real one. I could go for more Pumpkin. I really could.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best strategic move when she made it, but later on in the episode, when she just walks up to Nick, like, you know what, throw all the pretense out the window. I don't know how to feel about you. I don't know how you feel about me. What's up? Like, I like that.
Yeah, I like Pumpkin too. I think Pumpkin would be a really good Survivor player. I don't know if Pumpkin's got the strategy has shown the strategy for Big Brother, because Big Brother is a little bit like Survivor. You can kind of make it through on some physical stuff, and I think those types of physical challenges, Pumpkin would probably be pretty good at.
Right,
That's
I
my
could feel
thought.
that.
So Theron, we talked about it. Theron's decided to kick out Dusty. Bummer.
And
Really
really,
like
it
Dusty.
was Becky, Lee, and Nick were kind of the ones who were pushing it the most. Like, it has to be Dusty. It has to be Dusty.
Yep. But Theron keeps saying like, but Amy's not. What if we don't make it up? What if? And he's right. What if he kicks out Dusty, and Amy doesn't get up the mountain, and they miss checkpoint today? It's not Amy's fault. That's Theron's fault. So
Right.
it does.
Or
have
if literally
complications.
physically she can't do it anymore and she has to get Memmott back now, and now not only are y'all losing her, but y'all losing her money too.
Right.
So y'all lost Dusty
Right.
and y'all lost her Amy's money.
Right.
Which
Right. You could
I'm
lose.
glad that didn't happen. I'm glad she made it, but
Yep.
that would have been bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And Theron's thought afterwards was, we got it later, was that, hey, Dusty's gone. Now I have to be now I'm the leader, and these people we're bringing Dusty because Dusty can make sure they get up the mountain. And well, now it's me. Well, listen, Theron, I love you. I don't think you're carrying Amy's pack through the snow. Dusty would. Dusty will throw that thing on the front and just mountain goat his way up. So, you're worried about time, and I don't know.
That's the only reason why I'm not. That's the decision was what solidified it. Like, I'm sorry, Pumpkin, I love you, but everybody else, I don't care if they make the summit.
Yep.
I don't.
Dusty, when he's told, is visibly pissed. Says he doesn't like going out in this slimy manner, and I was like, yeah, I don't like that production is forcing this choice. It's not like Theron is like, because they could also say, what if you don't want to get anybody out? You can get rid of anybody or nobody, and if you get rid of nobody, here's how we fix it or whatever.
Yeah, I'm about to say, no, this is your dilemma now. Y'all got six ice whatever equipment. Y'all got to figure out how to make that work with this one person who don't got it.
Right. Yeah, I also think that there might be my guess, again, this is knowing nothing of production. There's only so many people that can climb up that ice wall in the same way at a given time, because you're going to keep chunking out that ice wall. And I have a feeling that they're like, hey, when you get to that ice wall, you can only have 6 people go up it. And they're kind of counting on Amy to quit, or Jeannie to quit, or Theron gets hurt, or they were counting on somebody else removing themselves from the game. And at this point, they're like, well, we have to cut somebody. Here it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That would be my only thought.
I would think that this is the only quick fix I could think of. Well, once you get those other people with the equipment up that ice wall, now y'all just gonna have to carry Dusty up, literally pull him up that.
I mean, you could say, hey, I mean, they got to pull the bags up. They could say you got to pull the bags and the person. So maybe it's not Dusty, maybe it's Jeannie or something like that. But it's you guys got to get up there and you got to pull them up. We don't have enough ice picks, something like that. I'm very annoyed by this, and that's what makes me question, damn, am I going to be really pissed off on these last 2 episodes? Am I going to be really upset about how production plays out this show?
Yeah, because entertainment wise, they haven't built up a good enough goodwill to justify this much.
No, and you and I have talked about it. We think that there's 4, maybe 3 people getting the money. I've even mentioned maybe 2 this time. Yeah. There's only 1 more vote out. There's 6 people. All of these 6 people. Oh no, there's 5 people. Yeah, so we're going to get down to 4, I think. And then I think what you're going to say is someone's going to get voted out at the top.
Yeah, I think that is a very real possibility. There's more, as much as this goes on, and they they're going to have. Well, I feel like somebody in that production room wanted to be like, let's give somebody a moment of, we made the journey, but we didn't get the money. And I think everybody who would have been happy with something like that has been eliminated from this game already.
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like somebody like a Jenny would have been like, "Damn, it sucks I didn't get the money, but I made it to the top of this mountain and try to make it something like positive or whatever." But
yeah.
Say like
So
after.
then, oh yeah, so they get up, they climb up. Everybody gets up the ice wall, right? Yeah. Oh yeah,
It's
so
like up the ice wall through the ice tunnel, like now, like
yeah,
like they get through.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was about to say this was probably the part where I had that whole like VR experience type of idea, just because they probably, for anybody who's claustrophobic, the same way they have like skydive and stuff for people who are scared of heights, you can kind of experience that without like we're still being in the safety of your own home. As far as like them going through the whole little caverns, have to get through the other side, and how hard that was for some people. It didn't look that hard. It looked like they were trying to make it seem like harder than it was. So.
Bro,
It just seemed like the hard part was everybody being the people who were claustrophobic that were freaking out.
But here's the thing: I am also claustrophobic. I'm a larger fellow. Usually, larger people are have more claustrophobia. That's usually it. Larger, it's like when I was much bigger. I've lost a little bit of weight, but like I couldn't deal with I buy shirts too big because I couldn't deal with them too tight. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a little bit of body image. Also, just didn't like that feeling of constriction. I have been through tighter cave spaces at the Cincinnati Children's Museum than this cave appeared. Right? So, like, there is an glacier experience at the Cincinnati Museum Center, and they have a cave section, and there are places that are tighter to get through than this looked like. And I know that they're tired at the top of the mountain. You can get under there and still kind of ducking, you're still on your feet. Like, you have plenty of room to crawl. Like, I understand Amy has fear and it's her turn to show her fear to everybody, but this was not a thing. This was not, I
did, it didn't. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't as bad as it looked. I'm not really cool with tight spaces. There is a little bit of, because I'm a little weird person. There's a side of me that would have been like, "Ooh, this is a challenge for me." Like for me, I want to see if I can do it. Just because I am a bigger person, and getting through the small space should be very difficult. But this did not look that difficult. I mean, they had to get a whole camera crew through there at some point to they dug, to some extent, they dug that out for them to be able to go through it. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't that bad.
Also, back to the ice wall. It's basically climbing a ladder. If you do it right, there is a technique to it. And I'm sure they had instruction on the technique to it, but it really is like climbing a ladder. The only person that legitimately, like Amy and her toes, that's why it hurts so much, is because your feet, there's still impact, but their boots are rated for this. She's not getting tons of impact on her toes. If you're doing it right, it's not a ton.
I would imagine even like some hiking boots are like they have like steel toe hiking boots now. Like is that a thing? So I would imagine they would want to protect these people the most, so they would have those.
They're more carbon fiber now because they're lighter. But yes, same concept of a very hard-toed, shell-toed shoe. I have a pair of hiking boots like that, and I'm not a hiker, so it's like it's not too crazy of equipment. But they get through their little cave experience. Probably production being like, "We've shown a lot of mountains. Any caves around here? Well, there's this one. Safe." Probably, unless the ice melts. I don't know. Send them through. All right. We can't. Tired of these scenic views or whatever.
It's Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer, and I'm talking today about Work Money. Work Money is a non-profit organization that focuses on lowering costs and raising incomes for all Americans to make American life more affordable and American families more economically secure. They provide products, services, perks, benefits, tips, and tools to help members improve their financial lives. It's time to level up and make more money in this economy. We're talking getting rich. Now, this sweepstakes is giving away $50,000. You can use this to pay your rent, your mortgage. Imagine what you can do with all the money that you'll save. Now, this is put on by Work Money, and this site has all these sick benefits, and it's free. Go sign up right now and get more rich. Now, listen, you can change your life. Now, what would you do if you didn't have to pay your rent or mortgage for a year? Listen. Sign up right now for free. Link is available right here in the show notes. Check them out. Personally, I'd get more pinball machines. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I wouldn't lie about that. It's Work Money. More money.
So they get to their checkpoint camp again. Lots of shots of Amy falling in the snow. And I think probably what is aggravating people about Amy, and this is nothing she can do about it, but it's the reaction every time she steps deep in the snow. It's like, she keeps making these noises that she's hurt or injured or in pain. And it's like, people are probably all right, yeah, we all hurt. Can you just come on, it's been 12 days, dog.
Yes, it's like being at work and people start complaining, and it's like, yo, we're literally all going through the same thing right now. I don't.
Yeah,
you're not helping it.
yeah, exactly. You're sitting there bitching to your about your boss to your coworker. They're like, yeah, and
no. Yeah. I know you're not helping anything, Sarah. So.
No.
It's unfortunate. I just feel like they showed all of this just to kind of solidify Amy being the vote out, or just to even justify it. Because at this point, because Dusty was already voted out, I'm like, okay, voted out by Theron. That whole spoiler situation was already done, so I didn't know who was going to go home, but I had an idea that it was going to be Amy, mostly because Dusty was her closest ally. They were showing all of this content of Amy, and even though Jeannie was at the bottom of my power rankings last time, there was just too much. They did not do anything at all with Jeannie this episode for me to even think that she was going home. So you could kind of just see it coming from a mile away. But when they do get to the checkpoint, this is where we kind of get to most of the strategy happening. Thank God.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is usually where I would start going to sleep, but they really got to it once they got here, and it was interesting because they made it a toss up, and you didn't know who was, or at least for a second, I didn't know who it could have been.
Right. Yeah. I do think that Theron made the right decision because Dusty and Amy were so connected that if he had switched it and kicked off Amy first, I don't think that Dusty is voted out, because I think Dusty realigns himself and it's probably Jeannie that's voted out or Theron that's voted out potentially. Whereas I feel like Theron knew if he gets out Dusty, that's one of Amy's numbers that's gone. And then Amy's not going to be able to get the other people to flip to her side to get out Theron. Whereas Dusty could have gotten Nick and Becky Lee to be like, yo, Theron's going to beat you all. Or, there could have been that discussion could have opened up. But because Dusty was gone and it was just Amy, and Amy was what Amy was, there's nowhere for her to really go.
Yeah, I feel that. I can understand that. But I think, I don't know, because I feel like even still, because Nick and Becky Lee were so gung-ho about getting out Dusty, that if Amy would have went, they were to still voted with Theron, and most likely been able to shift Jeannie to be able to still get out of Dusty. I don't know if she still she has any type of connection with Dusty that way, and Becky Lee made it pretty solidified in this episode that it was her, Theron, and Pumpkin, or her, Theron, and Nick.
Theron and Nick. Yep.
That we want to make sure is the final three. So I those numbers, at least that top four, seem to be whatever they wanted to happen the most was going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. It does seem like that. This is the part where it really shows that Becky Lee kind of is driving everything. Becky Lee is put herself in the swing position of this vote. She's really the most.
It might backfire.
Potentially. I mean, if she's going to keep trying to play her game because she's gotten her way for so long, and then all of a sudden, if it's oh shit, there's only 5 people left, and it's they got to start thinking now. hey, production's going to pull some shit at the top of the hill. Who do I think is not going to kick me off if they're like, hey, you're at the top, kick one more person off? You know, so it's like if the other people, there's only 5 people, they're all talking. If everyone's like, well, I'm with Becky Lee. Well, I'm with Becky Lee. Well, I'm with Becky Lee. Well, okay, well, let's all get rid of Becky Lee. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I think even at one point she said it in front of everybody, which error on her part, I feel she said it in front of everybody, like, well, I got connections with everybody at this point. And I was like, ooh.
Girl,
like everybody's afraid of no one. Like that is a classic reality trope, especially in these type of games.
Yep.
So they really kind of highlighted that in this scene. So in the preview, this could be another Nick versus Amy situation where nothing happens, but I'm not sure because this was really the moment where I had that. Oh snap! It is Becky Lee, Theron, and Nick that is sitting at that table with those guns under the table, and Punkin is just sitting back with that shotgun, waiting to see how this plays out.
This is also where we got Punkin going straight up to Nick, be like, "Bro, I don't know you. We've been together for 10 days, and we don't know each other. What you think, dog? What's going on? How we feeling? How we hitting? What are we doing? You know?"
And he did not pick up what she was putting down at all. He just goes, so I think the vote is gonna be Amy, and I'm like, she's like, this is not what I was asking you. This is that is completely separate, sir. So this did not look good for Nick. I hope that Punkin really does have her claws in Becky Lee and Theron more than Nick does, so that she can get her way on these next couple votes.
So then Manu comes back, and we got like really good Manu. This was a really good like, all right, you know, like he is.
That's a good Manu. You did that when you practicing, or did that just come naturally?
Yeah. That just comes naturally. It's not hard to gargle. Do you know I was Deathstroke? So the first nomination. Oh yeah, he was. That was actually one of the best parts of the show. He was actually one of the best parts of that show. Anyway, Slade, right? What's in that?
Yes,
it's
Slade Wilson. Okay. Yeah,
Slade Wilson. That's it. I wanted to be like Wade Wilson. I was like, nah, it's Deadpool. It's close though. So Amy nominates Theron, and she basically says because he's playing a flawless game, which is like. I don't really know what a flawless game looks like up here, but I think that Nick, Becky Lee, Punkin, and Theron are all pretty much Punkin until she went up to Nick, and Becky Lee until she told everybody that she's connected. But they're all playing pretty good games. I got games.
Yeah. Like I don't know again if this is the paranoia of them not knowing if they're gonna make it, or the paranoia of there being so little numbers where everybody's starting to kind of slip up a little bit. But it's very like again they made it interesting by just that part in itself.
I think they might know something that we don't know about how the end of this game works.
Very possible.
You know,
very possible.
I think that there might be something that we're not aware of that like they have been told, like a rule or something, or they're like, there's only going to be 3 of you at the top, regardless of how it happens, you know, or something like there might be.
Yeah, because even I remember earlier in one of the earlier episodes, we had that moment, that like really quick moment with Rob where he says something about people being the most likable when they get to the top of the mountain. And I'm just like, oh, well, that does kind of set a little bit of precedence for maybe they do get to the top and then somebody has to go, and maybe that most likable person there has no chance of being the person that goes, and that could be you instead of them. So,
Yeah. They're angling for the people that they like the most to get to the top. So, and it might not even be production told them, because I know like Johnny's talked about how on Survivor a couple times, like they've overheard production conversations that they weren't supposed to hear. And we've heard that a couple times. And so like, again, on a new show on a mountain, we know there's people around for safety and stuff like that they might have even overheard something that they shouldn't know. So I just feel, they just know something about how this game ends that we haven't been told yet. And Theron comes right back and goes, well, I'm going to nominate you because you're slowing us down. And that's when Amy, what a great Amy scene. I mean, seriously, this is like, dang. She's like, but that's not fair. We're here. we have gotten here. Name a checkpoint that we've missed because of me. Name a mission we failed because of me. I've done all of them. Not as fast as you, but I'm twice your age. Like, you know,
hello.
Girl, tell me about it. I mean,
she absolutely went off, and I needed that from her. Like, that is how you make sure that you leave an impact on a TV show if you're going to be on one. Just like be super real in that moment, because that is all she was in that moment, was 100% honest, and I felt every single thing that she said. And if it wasn't for how they set up this episode, I thought she would have saved herself a little bit. But I think her error was targeting Theron instead of Nick. If you shift that vote to somebody who maybe don't have alliances with every single person that's left, because there are so many little numbers, and he does kind of have a Dennis vibe where some people don't trust them, or don't know how to feel about him. Even Becky Lee has said she don't know if she has Nick 100% or not. So if you kind of could key in on things like that and maybe shift that target from Theron to Nick, she would have, I feel like, had more of a fighting chance to survive this vote.
I agree. I actually agree 100%. I wrote that down. I was like, she should have said Nick and not Theron, because if it's Nick and you've done the pre-work, you can probably get Jeannie on board. You might get Pumpkin on board. Smaller chance you get Becky Lee on board. But you only need two of those.
At that point, she only need the three. Like, she only need her, Jeannie, and Pumpkin, which would have been the perfect three to shift that vote to Nick.
I also want to know what happens if there's a tie.
Interesting.
You know, what if there was a tie vote? We haven't had one, but there could have been 3 and 3.
We got even close. We haven't even got close to having a tie vote. That would have been interesting for us.
And Manu, I didn't really like him. He kind of was like, "Are you sure you can make it, Amy?" And it's like, "Hey, man, shut up. That's not your job. You ask the questions. Don't be new era Jeff Probst. Don't give away stuff that you know about people's games to the people playing the game," because he does that sometimes. And it's the same thing. It's like, no. You can ask questions that anybody can answer, and that's really it.
Yeah, definitely lead the witness at that point.
It'd be the same thing if he's like, "Oh, Jenny, how's that leg doing?" And everyone's like, "What leg?" You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't do that, but that's the same type of thing he kind of just did here. It was like the final time reminding everybody, well, Amy's weaker than you all. But again, to Amy's point, we haven't missed yet.
And I really, it's unfortunate that it played out that way for her. It really is.
Yep. Amy was voted off unanimously. It's a bummer. I like Amy. I think Amy, always dream casting. I think Amy would be good on Big Brother or Traders or, Deal or No Deal Island. I mean, I don't think she's going to have enough celebrity pull that those last two shows kind of require for you to get cast on. But I think Amy...
I would even maybe see her on a Survivor. I could see her cast as that archetype where people think she can't get through some of the more strenuous physical part challenges that they do have on there. And when she's 40, that social game.
She's like 42, right? I think she's something like that. And so it's like, oh, I'm 40. I'm 40 next year. I'm 39 right now, so she's 3 years older than me. So I can't even look at her as like this old lady. She's my age. We're the same age. And I could do Survivor. Like, she could totally. And she's got the social game down. That's what carried her up this mountain the whole way.
And we have seen that can carry you through an entire game of Survivor. So I would love to see her on something like that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I
really
agree
sucks that Adventure Time Amy did not get to make the summit. I was really hoping that she was going to make it.
After 2 adventures, up an ice wall, through a cave, conquering her biggest fear, blah, blah, blah. See you, Amy. Manu told us you're too weak to make it up the next 2 trips. That
is such a tragic story for one episode.
I know. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, and then at the end of the episode, we get the big like safety officer come out and be like, "All right, we got to get out of here. There's a storm coming." And they're like, Okay. And he's like, no, now. Like, get your
right
get your shit. We're gone. Like, he says, like, no mucking about or whatever. It's like, yeah, dude, that's serious. You don't be mucking. You can't be mucking.
yeah, yeah, no, my kid. Sorry, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's pretty crazy that they actually. I didn't expect for them to have some situations like that. I'm glad that they show like, hey, it could get real up here, and we do take care of the people up here.
Yeah.
So like, that whiteout situation wasn't that bad where we felt like they needed to remove them. Like they'd have been fine. But
yeah, no,
so I'm wondering how's that going to pick up for the next episode. Like, are they just going to drop them back at checkpoint? And
I think they have to. There's only so many. Yeah, there's only so many places they can land a helicopter.
Right.
You know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see how this plays out. I'm also very nervous for how this plays out. There's like, it's either going to be like 2 boring episodes of climbing a mountain or 2 boring episodes of climbing a mountain followed by one of our favorites getting screwed at the very end.
Yeah, I can see this next episode. I'm actually going with what the preview is telling me, that this is where people start to, the alarm bells go off about Becky Lee, and this is when she becomes a real contender for being voted out. But even on my power rankings, I still have it being Nick being the vote somehow.
Man, it's not popular opinion, but right now, Jeannie's the odd duck out. Jeannie's sitting there, unallied. Becky Lee's got 2 alliances working with the other 3 people. Nick there and Punkin in some capacity. I honestly, I hope Jeannie is voted out next because I don't want Jeannie to be the one that they get to the top of the mountain and they screw over. Because that will break my fucking heart.
Okay, yeah. Yes and no, because see, I said it last time that I don't really care for the people who kind of swing votes so many times that they don't solidify any alliance within that. Like the swing voting isn't even like strategic; it's just happening because that's how they are within the game. That it's kind of like, hey, this is kind of what you get for not making sure you solidify these bonds a little more on this journey.
But in her defense, she probably doesn't watch any reality television shows. Probably doesn't have time. Yeah. She's got kids. She works at a grocery store. I'm sure, she even talked about it. Like, I feel like I have friends here and I never get to do things with friends. I'm always doing mom shit. And I met you 11 days ago, but this is the first time I've hung out with friends in forever. And I like how good it feels. And it's like, damn, you know that this money changes anyone's life for sure. Becky Lee is a project manager in construction. Financially, her life is fine. As long as she does a good job at her job, she's fine. Nick seems like he's got his shit together. Yes, this would help pay for his wedding. Theron, probably a budding reality television show star if he wants to be. Punkin, the same deal, like military. We know how military people... Dude, this changes Jeannie and her family's life more than anybody else's life, and it would break my heart as a son of a mom who also struggled financially. I don't want to put it on Jeannie. Maybe they're just fine and she just works at a grocery store for fun or whatever, but she doesn't pass that off. Right. She passes it off like, oh no, my kids will get to go to college and come out debt free if they want to because of this money. We will get to pay off our house. Like, we will get to go on vacations, things that normal people do, that she gives me the feeling that she's always under this thumb of like, I got to make that money to pay the bills and I got to get them to soccer practice and I got, blah, 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 all this stuff. So that would break my heart. And if the show ends this way, I'm saying it right here. I won't cover this show again.
I feel it. It could get like that. But I don't know. Like, especially seeing how some of the other votes have kind of played out in front of her, you would think that at some point you would kind of get how the game is going that you are playing.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you learn by now, but
although even in saying what I was saying, I don't have Jeannie. Jeannie is not at the bottom of my power rankings.
No,
I
she
have Jeannie
also.
Jeannie crossed the money line with this episode. This
I was
episode
gonna
and the
say.
preview to next episode kind of crossed her into the money line for me, actually. So,
I I was gonna say that's the other thing is now she's the swing vote.
uh,
If she could realize that she's actually in the most power right now, as long as
yeah,
she's not
yeah. If
nominated,
she
she's the
really,
swing vote.
yeah, like after this Amy vote out, because Amy was her closest person, I will hope that she like something goes off where she can solidify these bonds with these other people,
Yep.
or that those other people just see. Because just to kind of shoot through this real quick, just the way I have it playing out, I do see Nick and Becky Lee being the two at the bottom with, and then Theron, Jeannie, and Puckett.
Okay.
I feel like those people are guiding the votes more than anything are going to start to seem like more threats to people who are getting to the top, because I don't think there's anybody left who don't think they won't make it to the top.
Agreed. I also, on what you're saying, is that Nick and Becky Lee could be seen as like the other three could be like, well, we could nominate both of them and decide which one goes, and then if we have to cut one more, we'll cut the other one, because it is like those two clearly together, and then so yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. The summit has a lot of work to do to make it extra exciting for the last two episodes. I think that we've talked about it, but I think there's improvements that they could make to the show to make it a little bit more entertaining. I think secret votes would help a lot.
Yes.
I think secret votes would
100%.
help a ton, and I think some sort of penalty for failing a challenge, and if there is that, they never made it clear. Maybe that's just because it didn't happen, but like some real stakes for failing these challenges and make them difficult. I mean, if someone falls 4 times and they lose all their money and then they're out, it's like, okay, that sucks. But that, I don't know. There's things that, and I understand it's safety and being able to actually make a television show. You have to be able to shoot and get production in there and get choppers in there and stuff. I also think they could just remove the Mountains Keeper from this whole bullshit.
Yeah, I feel like if you take away the Mountains Keeper and add the things that people like in typical competition reality, like let's say after you wake up from a checkpoint, y'all go a little further, and now there's this little endurance thing set up where if you guys can get through this, y'all can get like a ride up the mountain further at this point. But if you fail, not only are you going to be more tired because you just did an endurance challenge, you're going to lose this amount of money, or
or
let's
or this episode.
Go ahead.
Or like this episode, you walk up to the ice picks or whatever, and it's just there with a note that's like, you got 6. If you want to, like the first person to get here, you get to decide. You could do this other thing and earn your 7th thing, or you can cut somebody. Like give them that choice, and then say like now or you could have a vote, and then you have a group vote or something. Like there's just things that they could do to make it seem a little bit more fair and a little bit more strategic. I don't think they're doing a great job of showing the strategy in this show. I think they're really focusing on this mountain that they have, which is cool. But
the mountain and the character stories that are getting up the mountain. Very, very documentary style, where we're just getting character stories climbing up while they're climbing the mountain. And if they could lean more into the things that you show in a preview to make people go, oh, I got to keep watching through this commercial, like, or things that make people go like, oh, this is actually a competitive game, then maybe you can sustain yourself for a couple more seasons. It'll just be more entertainment. You buy yourself more entertainment value cachet with the people watching to do whatever you kind of want to do. Like I think that's why. What are you looking at the ratings?
I'm not looking at the ratings for viewers, but I'm looking at the ratings on Google for the show listing. So these are people that have gone to Google to give a rating for a television show. There are 86 ratings, and it is at a 1.7.
Wow. That is really bad.
I don't think people like this show. Let's see. Okay, well, here's one from October. Sunday TV ratings. The Summit falls off a cliff. Oh, this
I
was the
like it.
one that
That's
they.
funny.
This was the series premiere. Yeah, it had
Okay,
like no ratings at all. 3 million
that's funny.
viewers. It had 3 million viewers for the premiere. Um, so yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't. We don't need to look at ratings. I don't think it's gonna come back, but I think it's gonna be a one and done. But
Yeah, yeah, I can see it. Hopefully, it's not one and done for a couple of the people on, because I do like a lot of the personalities that they managed to get for the show.
maybe this podcast. Sorry, peek behind the curtain. Maybe this podcast, when the summit is over, is we just watch one and done reality shows. There's like hundreds of them. We just do a recap of every reality show that was only one and done season, because there's a bunch. There's a
Yeah,
bunch.
yeah, okay, yeah. I must say, I would totally be down for that. I would even not gonna lie. I had the thought when you mentioned Big Brother. I'm like, maybe y'all can try to make a Big Brother fan out of me and show me one of the
Don't.
best seasons of Big Brother to watch.
Don't. There's not. And listen, I'm gonna get hate for this. I'm gonna get hate for this. I know for a fact.
There's not.
I love competition reality television shows. That is my favorite. That
Uh,
is my wheelhouse. That's what I love to watch. I
uh,
have watched the last 2 seasons of Big Brother, and I wanted to quit with about 15 episodes left both times. Johnny and I tried to do a Big Brother podcast for the last season, not the one that just finished, the last one. And we
uh-huh.
got through like 8 episodes, and we're like, do you want to do this anymore? And he's like, no. Like, we're just like, I don't.
Oh my god, that is hilarious! Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
had that experience yet with any TV show to where I like tried it. Like I usually just shy off of anything, and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna like it because I don't want to waste my time. But I'm a completionist. I like to finish the things that I start. So,
I finished. I watched them.
uh, not worth the
They're
time.
the strategy is real. I'm not going to say it's not a hard game. And I'm not going to take anything away from the people that have won it. It is a very difficult game to play. For me, it's not what I like to watch. That's just not it. They do have some cool characters. They do. Big Brother does win in character casting for sure. They cast some incredible
Okay.
characters.
Yeah, because I like some of the people that came from Big Brother to the
Yeah.
challenge. Like not the
Yeah.
ones that keep coming back, but some of the ones that came and not really been called back that much.
Yep. Yeah, but like Casey, and Josh and
Sometimes.
yeah. I mean Casey when she
I'm not
says
gonna lie,
something.
other people don't like them, but I like Bailey and Swaggy Sheep.
Oh yeah.
I was really into them when they came into the show. I wanted to see them get some more challenge time. I thought they were amazing. I thought they would be great for the challenge. Continue moving forward.
Yeah.
Not competition wise, although Bailey did win like an elimination or two, but yeah.
Oh, maybe we could talk about challenge on another episode where we're figuring out what we do. But I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
does it for us here today at the Too High the Summit podcast. Omar, you got anything cooking? Anything? You just got to go to work just like the rest of us?
Yeah, going to work just like the rest of us and cooking that secret project in the background in my spare time.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm at Wayne Memmott on Instagram. Follow me. That's the best thing you could do to help me out. I have an 8-week-old, so I have not been posting as much, but I promise once my child grows up, I will be posting more. It's hard to really be like, do I want to sleep or tell people what I've done? No, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah,
But
I feel that.
fo-
Same.
yeah. But
Without
also
baby,
we
still same.
follow the Reality After Show Network. We've got a lot of cool stuff. We have our main coverage of Survivor with Matt and me and Johnny and sometimes Bobby. We also have Challenge podcasts with Polly Calafiore and Dan Monschel and Alex Trias. We have a Bryson Wendell Challenge podcast. We have On the Edge with Kelly Wentworth, which is an incredible podcast where she has access to some of the best survivors ever. We've got Rachel Riley and Jen Hoffman on Reality Queens. There's a bunch of other shows that keep getting added to the network, and I would talk about them, but I don't know them. I'm sorry. But if there is something reality interested, this network's got it. Sign up for the Patreon. All of our episodes are ad-free on the Patreon. And if you don't like it, Johnny will send your money back. And if you want to watch a Survivor viewing party, Johnny's on the road this Wednesday, night before Thanksgiving. He's in North Carolina with King George from Australian Survivor. You could just go to survivortix.com. I know that they're coming to Cincinnati in a couple of weeks too, at the Filson. So check out survivortix.com for all your Survivor viewing parties. I think that's it, Ohmar. We did it. We got on this podcast. We're like, I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we got to an hour. We did it. What the heck?
Yes,
we're
yes.
podcasters,
See,
bro.
that just kind of solidified. Yeah, like we can do this. Like we got this. Shuts us out pretty damn well.
Best episode yet. Honestly, I mean, I think we got a schedule. We got it on time. We're going to make sure this is uploaded. It's going to come out on Monday. Whew. Look at us. The show's almost over.
The stoner cousins are showing up, guys. You can count on your stoner cousins, y'all. Okay?
It takes us a few times and a little bit of mistakes, but we're going to get there. All right, Ohmar. Well, I will catch you next week as we talk about what I think is the penultimate season of The Summit.
Will it come on next week? Because it is Thanksgiving, yes?
Oh, probably 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I know the challenge is taking a week off. I wonder if Survivor is this show. I don't know. I don't know
if they don't have an episode next week. And if they don't have an episode, we'll just get on and talk anyway. We'll be back next week with another podcast, regardless of what happens. So we can talk about Thanksgiving and the holidays and all that stuff. Cool. Yeah. Well, Ohmar, I'll catch you next week, my friend. Oh yeah, we got to do.
Sir. Peace out.
Let's see. Oh yeah,
your power ranking because I went through mine pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Power ranking. Fuck. Oh, yeah. Real quick. I actually think Jeannie's going to be gone. And I think the rest make the money. All right. And I got to have a catchphrase.
Yeah, you didn't think about it.
Don't forget to bring a towel. Don't forget to bring a towel.
Low effort, man. If you're going to get too high, then do it with these guys. I like that. It rhymes. Yeah.
Whoa. Way better. If you're going to get too high, do it with these guys. That's it. That might be the one. I like that. Ohmar, I'll see you next week, my friend. Everybody, thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. It's 2024. You know what to do. Peace.